Hubie, tell me if this is true. This is a story I've heard for years, that Ted Turner was so impressed with your coaching skills that he came to you and asked you if you wanted to be the manager of the Atlanta Braves baseball team too. Is that a true story?
A guy by the name of Bob Hope was the PR guy for Turner Enterprises.
Mm-hmm.
5 years later, he writes a book because he leaves Turner to form his own company. He's still in PR in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
He does the whole story. We're playing Philadelphia on Friday night, the Lakers on Saturday night. Now we hear the kids, because every time the ball went out of bounds, or so help me God, they'd play Rocky on the PA system. I mean, it was hysterical, right? We're pressing, trapping, dive. We pressed 48 minutes. We never took the trap off. To tell you how bad we were, before the season, the 8th exhibition game was in Louisville. We played Chicago. Artis was playing for Chicago then. So they decided to do an Olympic. So Jack McMahon is scouting for Philadelphia. Jack is at the game, and he's very good friends with Frank Layden. Now, during the exhibitions, we never showed any pressing, trapping, nothing, double teaming, nothing. Just play. We're 0-7. Well, we win that night. So Jack McMahon comes by the locker room to see Frank. And he says, listen, I don't want to upset you guys, but your team is the worst team that I have ever seen in 35 years of being associated with the NBA. Now, nobody knows that we're going to press and trap, okay? And we're going to do all this kind of stuff. We get out of the box, we're 7-1. We're playing, we beat Houston in Houston, and they had Rick Barry and Calvin Murphy and all those guys, and Moses. We come back, and we play Portland. It's 1977. We're playing Portland here. We do not know that they're going to win the championship. Thursday night, we fly in, we play Friday night at home, sellout crowd, because it's Bill Walton and Maurice Lucas, etc. They beat us 130 to like 80.
Ooh.
Okay? I'll never forget this. Because nobody else was prepared for all this spread. But Dr. Jack Ramsey was prepared, George, like you would expect him to be, okay? And they just ran through us like we weren't even there, all right?
Wow.
We get up the next morning, we fly all the way back to San Antonio. Commercial now. We beat San Antonio. It was so wild. It was crazy, all right? And we had so much fun. But what we learned there was that we were going to be good and exciting, but you still got to have better talent. And then as we kept going, we kept repairing. We got Jack Gibbons from Kentucky, and then the key was Danny Roundfield was playing with Indiana Pacers, and I knew how good Roundfield was, even though he was a backup. We got him his contract. He came in, and he solidified our front line. I mean, he made it a great front line. And then Eddie Johnson, John Drew, and Danny Roundfield played in 3 straight All-Star games. It was a fun time. I'm sorry.
We're getting out to the baseball.
Yeah, here's what happened. Sellout crowd. It's February. Sellout crowd for Philadelphia. So I come into the game, and he's sitting in my chair, in my office, Ted Turner. So he goes, listen, I want to talk to you about a very touchy subject. He said, we have a number of guys coming through here this past week about being a new manager. And he said, I don't like what I'm seeing, so forth and so on. So he said, would you consider being manager of the baseball team? I said, Ted, I can't manage a baseball team. I said, I just played college baseball in the service I played, you know. I mean, I caught 3 guys who pitched in the major leagues when I was in the service. You know, we had a great baseball team at the Presidio. I said, hey, No, I said, come on, how could you even think of something like that? I said, we're still playing the season. He goes, no, he said, Phil Negro will coach the team in spring training and so forth and that. And then when the season ends, because the season ended earlier then, he said, then you would come because you're not going to make the playoffs. So, but we are going to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
So he says, and then you can go. I said, no. I said, please, we're playing the Celtics. I mean, the Lakers, or Philadelphia tonight, and the Lakers tonight. I can't be thinking about this kind of stuff. So he leaves. So we beat the Sixers. We go to dinner. Frank Layden, Mike Fratello, and I say to them, both of them being baseball guys, first, I go, let me tell you what happened before the game. Right away, Frank Layden goes, well, why didn't you take it? He goes, our fathers would be so happy. He said, I'll coach third base and Mike can coach first and you can be the manager. He said, it'd be terrific. Now we're with our wives. No, we're all laughing, okay? I mean, this is how silly this is.
Yeah.
The next night, he's in the chair again. And he says, look, here's what we're going to do. You're going to be the manager of this baseball team. And he says, Phil Negro's going to take the team to camp. I go, wait, now hold on. The seasons overlap. He goes, no, here's what we're going to do. Your family can come on the trips because we use private planes. So he says they can come on any trips in that during the summer when they're not in school and everything, and it's going to be great. So I'm looking at him. I said, now listen. I said, well, what about money? Now this is money. What do you mean? I said, well, what kind of a salary would you pay me? He says, salary? You're going to be in the Hall of Fame. You're going to be in the basketball Hall of Fame. He said, I'm not going to pay you any more money. You're going to do the same amount of money that you're getting with the Hawks. I said, hold on. I said, we can't talk anymore. You expect me to coach 2 seasons and just only, he says, that's exactly right. So far and so on. We win the game. He comes in after the game and says, listen, this group is forcing me to hire this guy. I want you to interview this guy. I can't give you the name, okay? Mm-hmm. I said, oh, Christ. I said, when? He says, tomorrow morning at my house. He said, at 11 o'clock. He's got a 2 o'clock flight or 3 o'clock flight. I said, Ted, you're embarrassing me now. This guy is a major league guy, a player, a man. I mean, what am I going to talk to him about? So he said, no, I'm with you. So what happens? I get home. I call this guy that I caught that was an all-star reliever and then also became one of the top pitching coaches in baseball and was with Oakland when they won the championships, the 3 championships. I call him. He's living in Seattle. I said, listen, you guys, I don't want to be embarrassed. He said, I got my pad. I said, could you please, because there's a 3-hour time difference, I said, could you please tell me what you would ask this guy so that I don't embarrass myself? So he, at this time, was also running for a major league team, all of their minor league stuff. So he goes, you got a pencil? So he, write down a line, all these questions, right? I write them all down. I said, thank you. Next day, I go in, I go, George, I don't know what I'm talking about. Right?
Right.
Here I am, interviewing this guy, okay? And Ted Turner is lying on the couch over there. He's lying like this. I am sitting here, and the guy is sitting there. Mm-hmm. And I'm having the nerve to talk to him about being a baseball manager, okay? I was so embarrassed. But I'm asking him all these questions. Well, it was interesting how he wasn't grounded enough on a lot of these things. And more important, didn't have a philosophy. And it was very noticeable. Okay? So we end, Turner drives the guy to the airport, the guy leaves, I go home. The next morning, at 6:45 in the morning, the phone rings. Clear sleep, I gotta reach over and get the phone. Hubie, it's Ted. Yeah. I think you should be the manager. He says, that was the best interview. He said, that was really terrific. I said, no, listen, all those questions came from a friend of mine. I said that I called up. He says, I don't care. He said, all those questions were so good. I said, I swear to Christ. Thank God it never happened, okay? But this guy, Bob Hope, writes a book about TBS, TNT. The fact, people only remember this, we played 5 games, Hawk games, up in Charlotte because Ted Turner bought a bankrupt station there for $800,000, and he thought we were going to move, so we played 5 games in Charlotte in the old place that's at 11,000, sold out all because they were all big games. And people came. Well, at the end of the year, he couldn't do it because we were playing so well and we were really rolling. So what he did, he sold that television station to GE for $23 million, bought it for $800,000. And if you go through his life, you'll see that's what he did with all this kind of stuff. And Bob Hope had all of these stories and all of these kind of things, and I'll be damned, that baseball story was in it.
Hey,